Muskan, you may start.
Muskan, please start.
Muskan, are you here with us? Ma'am, I am starting this.
Muskan, please start.
Good
Yeah,
afternoon.
ma'am. Good afternoon to one and all present. I hope you all are doing fine. I, Muskan Shah, on behalf of Virtual School, extend a warm welcome to all at today's webinar on the topic Legal Research, Writing and How to Avoid Plagiarism by our keynote speaker, Dr. Anita Yadav. Now, I would like to welcome our President of Virtual School, Ms. Muskan Dosal.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is doing fine today. You all are with us, and it's a pleasure to have you all here. And it's a pleasure to have Anita ma'am with us and have a great. I wish we'll have a great webinar with her. Today we are first. Let me introduce our virtual school for personality development and professional skills to you. This school is meant to enhance the personality of the individuals. It will not only help the individuals in their professional life but also in their personal life, as we all are aware that what role a personality plays, and our academic system somewhere lacks in enhancing the skills of individuals. We are all taught the theoretical part, but we are not taught the practical parts of the present scenario. What is going on, and how should we behave? What should be our ethics? What should be moral ethics? What should be professional ethics? This all is meant to be taught by the school to the individuals present here, and our prime focus is on all the individuals so that they will grow together. Now, without wasting much time, I would like to invite Muskan Shah to introduce our keynote speaker for the day.
Now, I would like to introduce you all for our guest about the speaker. Dr. Anita Yadav is Assistant Professor of Law at Campus Law Center, University of Delhi. Prior to that, she has worked as an Assistant Professor of Law at the National Law School of India, University Bangalore, Christ University, Bangalore, and Dr. Ambedkar Government Law College, Puducherry. She is a recipient of various international and national fellowship and scholarship awarded. In 2018, she received United Nations Asia and Pacific Regional Courts International Law Fellowship. She was an Erasmus Mendes Visiting Research Scholar at George August University of Göttingen, Germany from the year 2015 to 2016, and also been awarded with the Hague Academy of International Law Scholarship in the year 2016 and the Junior Research Fellowship in Human Rights and Duties from the University Grants Commission in 2014. I request ma'am to enlighten the audience with the precious word as we begin with today's event. Am I audible?
Anita ma'am, are you here with us? You may start.
All right, so should I start?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, sorry. I think in between I lost a connection or what because I could not able to hear you. And then I was thinking, I think there's a problem for your side. All right. So now you all can hear me, right?
Yes, ma'am, please go ahead.
Okay. And just let me ask once again, are you able to see my PPT?
Not Not now.
Okay, not now. Let me share my screen once again with you. Is it visible to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect.
Now
All
it
right.
is visible.
It is
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
okay, Muskan. So please call me in case if I lose the connection, because technical glitches is something which is not in my hand, and I'm
Yeah, ma'am.
little bad with technology also. So let me first of all thank you to the entire team of the virtual school for a personality development, especially Navnika ma'am for who is a founder of this school, and it is her brainchild. uh, I am audible, right?
Yes, ma'am, you are
Okay,
audible.
fine. So thank you, Navdika ma'am, for inviting me in this webinar, or what you call it, conference. So friends, as Muskan has already told you, today I'm going to discuss about legal research writing and how to avoid the plagiarism. So this is a very common topic, and and it has become a very common concern for many of the researchers, not only for the law student but also for the social sciences students. So I thought let's take some topic which can be useful for many of you, because Navtika ma'am told me it's not only the law student is going to be in this audience but also non-law background students as well. So I hope of course it will be very helpful for a law student who are researching, publishing, or any faculty member who is researching and publishing, and also for a non-law student who is also have researching or doing master program or PhD program. So I will be starting with a very basic, and my idea of a scheme will be like that. For in 30 or 35 minutes I will be addressing this topic, and after that we will be open up for the question and answer session. I will be happy to answer your queries. So starting with the topic, I will start with a very basic, and let me go to the next slide. So writing a research paper and publication has become a very important nowadays. Nowadays, in the sense whether we wanted a research and publication for the purpose of academic activities, or whether we want a research and publication for our master degree, for our PhD degree. So in academic, you cannot survive without a publication. And when writing of research and publication is so important, what are the things we have to keep in mind? And in this discussion, I'm going to share few of my experiences which I often come across through my students, through my friends, through my colleagues, and I hope these experiences can help you to all of you. So let me start. Selection of the research topic. So friends, selection of the research topic is a very important I will say the component of any research or a beginning of any research. So often students, or even my friends, they comes and they say, Anita, can you suggest some topic? So, and even a student asks me, ma'am, you tell us what topic should I work on or should I research on? So friends, let me tell you, before you decide a topic, never ask your teacher, never ask your friend, you tell us what the topic I should research, because ultimately it is your research interest area where it lies. It is not something will tell you the topic and you will be able to justify the research. So it's something like your friends, your teacher can help you to understand the scope of topic on which you are willing to work, or can help you to narrow it down. But it's not a good idea to getting a suggested the topic from your teachers, from your colleagues, because you have to find out what is your research interest, where your I mean to say research interest lies. So it is a very important finding of the research topic. And now the question comes, what are the basic things one need to keep in mind while deciding this research topic, and what are the the things one need to be careful while deciding the topic? So here few common things I have found out, and I'm sure a few of points you already must have aware about that. So the first thing is that is the topic is new and unique. Imagine if there is already a topic on which there is already a lot of research has been done, there are very less chances it will attract the audience. There are very less chances that it will be accepted for the publication. So try to find out something new, something unique. I will give you example, few of the example. For example, nowadays, we are going through a very unfortunate situation, this COVID-19, and this is the reason I'm, addressing through this online mode rather than, physically presenting and addressing you. So this all changes has happened. So if anyone wanted to write something on news, so COVID-19 could be a one of the newer, topic, because no one has thought about their healthcare system too much like they are thinking right now. I mean to say, nowadays every country is analyzing their healthcare system. Or you can take the example of, say, the Disaster Management Act. We have a Disaster Management Act under which, government has passed a lot of orders, but we never thought, to analyzing in so deep. But nowadays, since so many laws and regulation is passed under this act, now everyone is looking for the analysis of this law, that how much this laws, give the authority to the government to impose a lockdown or other power. So this is something emerging topics which, researcher can take, and of course it depends upon topic to topic. I'm mostly giving giving you the law topics example. And the second point is there is enough research available on this topic. Imagine if you have chosen some topic and there is no enough research material is available, then it will be quite the discouragement for the beginners, I'm telling you. If you have already, you are at the stage where you have a lot of ideas to generate an innovative idea, your own idea, maybe non availability of material will not impact you much. But I'm addressing, this gathering, thinking in a mind that there will be some beginners. So for them it will be very, kind of disappointing if there is no research material is available from where they will, start building their research. And here here the review of the literature becomes a very important component of any research, because if you do not have enough research material available, then how you will be analyzing the literature review, how you will understand that what is the gap is there in the literature which you wanted to address in research. So make sure, my friends, whenever you try to find out the topic, first see whether it is a contemporary topic, whether it is a unique or new enough, which publisher will appreciate that this is something new which we were looking for, or is there any gap in that area, because just selecting a new topic is not a solution for finding a good research topic. You have to see if there is any research gap existing in this research topic which you have chosen. And third point is coming, is it pertinent to my career choice? I often see, whenever student, my friends, when they see the call for paper, and they think, okay, the call for paper is, say, something like women rights related. I'm not good in women rights related. My area is something different. I love company law. So whether it will be good idea to write a paper for, that journal just because of that, for the sake of publication, that is something, we all need to think about that, because whether we will be able to do the justice with the topic, that is also one of the important thing. Maybe at a student age we are not much explored to that aspect, so at that point of time, whatever the topic has been assigned by teacher, or whatever the topic you have chosen, I'm talking about at LLB level, not at LLM level. So you must have written all the various topics, but at one point of time, make sure whatever the topic you are choosing, you should be able to do the justice. First you should have an interest in that, at least you have some basic understanding about that particular area on which you are willing to write. And this is something, very important thing before you select any topic. And of course, restrict the scope of your research topic. Do not write sun, moon, everything in your research paper. So make sure that your research should be very specific, very focused. Again, it depends whether you are writing your PhD thesis or you're writing your LLM dissertation, because in LLM dissertation you have a limited time, 6 months hardly, but for PhD you have minimum 3 years and then maximum 5 years with certain conditions. So depending upon the time span, you have to decide, you have to restrict the scope. And of course, if you're writing an article, then you have to further narrow it down, the research topic. So because it will be very helpful for you, and ultimately you will be able to come out certain substantive answer for those problems which you were looking for the research. So I hope I could able to make you clear about while what the care and caution one should take while selecting the research topic. So let me move further. Okay, so now you have decided the topic. Now the next question comes, in which journal? And nowadays it has become, I mean to say, everybody is so much worrying, and even we keep asking, let us know if some good journal is there. There is call for paper. But again, how you will decide that I will be addressing you in next slide. But let me tell you, if you have some particular journal in your mind in which you wanted to publish your paper, make sure you have a look of few of the article in that particular journal, because each journal strategy differs. Few journals have the different say the words limit, their footnoting style will be different. Will be few journal who do not have would like to have abstract, but there are few journal who insist to having abstract. And there is again the number of the words limit in the abstract. Few journal would also would like to have the keywords also. So these are the the general thing which you have to keep in mind if you have certain specific journal in your mind for which you wanted to write an article. So make sure you check few of the article which is already published in that particular journal to get an idea, at least the format of that particular journal. And collection of the research material, of course, you cannot write the article unless you have the some of the research material available. Collection of the research material also become a one of the important component, and especially wherever I go addressing to address some gathering. Many time I meet the student from different institution, and they often tells me, ma'am, what to do, my college is in very rural area. And you can't deny, in India there are various colleges which are situated in very rural area, and it is for difficult for them if they do not have a good library. If they have only the old collection, it becomes very difficult for those students, for those faculty, or any researcher who is working in that particular college or university to write a good article. So in that situation, excess of material is one of the hindrance which is often seen in the research area. Now how to deal with that. So there are so many initiative which is already done by the government. There is a still few national or university have taken a task to digitalize their library and to interconnect all the library. So, and also there are few ILI also promote some open research, the concept. Now most of the good institution are coming up with the the open access of few of the research material. So this is something, this is a one way where we can find a little bit solution, but I'm sure in coming days there going to be more open culture for the research, and more the avenue for the, I mean to say, a good university will open for their research material. For example, during COVID-19, there were a lot of university, they declare that they are going to now provide a free access about this research material to support during this COVID time, because no one can now go to library or sit in library or to travel because of lot of restriction. So this is the the basic thing, the basic problem which I often come across. And now most important question come, where to publish a research paper. So we all know we have a UGC care list, and we all are scared from this list, which is keep changing. So uh, I will be telling you later on about this, UGC notification and a few of the important points of this new UGC notification. So what I did in this slide, I just picked up few of the journal name from the UGC care list. And again, it is, it might change in future also, because UGC keep revising the journals, I mean to say the list of journals based on their credibility. So this is one of the tasks UGC has done, that these are certain reputed journal, and UGC has encouraged to scholar, to academician, to student, try to publish in all this listed journal which is actually reputed one. And so that your research can carry some value, it can contribute in society. So these are some the journal which you can see, which I have listed. Again, what you can do, you can register, you can make an account. If you Google the UGC care, you have to make an account, and there you can find the complete list of journal. Here I have listed the few one, including deliberately few the foreign journal and few Indian journals. And of course, where to find out that there is a call for paper, there are various website, and against knowledge streets also keep publishing about what are the call for paper are available. Octopus is there, lot of website are there which like announce that which are the journal who have called for the paper. And one good thing what you can do, you can visit the respective university site journal, so in that way you can also find the call for paper. So this all very basic thing. Let me move further. Yeah, so this is a UGC notification that is for 2016 I am talking about, which is dealing with the minimum standard procedure for the award MPhil and PhD degree regulation. So before that there was a 2009 regulation, and after this 2016 regulation came, uh, wherein the more restriction has been made. For example, the distance mode PhD has been denied in this regulation. It has make a very more specific provision with regard to the digital depository, which you can see the Shodh Ganga. So I'm sure you all are aware that we have a Shodh Ganga where all the the PhD degree after the completion has been uploaded, and it has created a researcher task more easy in the sense, there was a time when researcher was literally confused while choosing the topic. Maybe that topic might have been taken somewhere else by somewhere other researcher in some other university. So it is very difficult to find out if someone has taken the same the research topic in some other university. And now because of this Shodh Ganga, it is so easy to find out. In case if you wanted to do your PhD, you have some idea about the topic in your mind, the best thing, you start from a Shodh Ganga. You find out if there is already research has been done on that particular topic which you are planning to take for your PhD, which you are say planning to take for your MPhil or even for the master. So you can find the with the topic you can find out whether already the research has been done. So in that way it is also saving your energy, your time, and also it will also helpful for you to understand what is the further scope for the research. If that topic is already research has been done, is there any particular area which that research has not addressed, which you can choose a topic. So this is something has made the task very easier to while the selecting the topic. And after that 2018 regulation come with certain changes which I'm not going to address here. If anyone is interested on each PPT, you can find the source and you can go through in detail. Okay, now coming to the plagiarism cases in India, and I'm sure you all must have come across in newspaper, must have heard. There's so many plagiarism cases is coming in India, and so many renowned cases has come. Only few I have referred on my PPT. So UGC have come across this, the plagiarism cases, where one of the case was Vice Chancellor of Pondicherry University, Chandra Krishna Murthy, where it has been found certain few of her work has been plagiarized. And another case, Anil Kumar Upadhyay, reader in Mahatma Gandhi Kashi Vidyapith. Likewise, you can see there were a few more plagiarism cases has come up, and the action has been taken. So yeah, so this is the important regulation which I wanted to focus more upon on the plagiarism. So to curb the plagiarism in Indian higher education, UGC has come up with this notification which is called University Grant Commission, the provision on academic integrity and prevention of plagiarism in the higher education institution, and this is 2018 regulation. So there are few important provision we all need to know about that. So so no one should do any plagiarism activity, and they should be safe. So one of the important thing is that this regulation apply student, faculty, researcher, and even a staff. For example, library staff, they do also write an article to all the higher education institution in the country. So this is the scope of this regulation. It apply, I mean to say, almost everyone in the university, whether they are student, faculty, researcher, staff, author, who can be author. So it can again include any student, faculty, researcher, or staff of the higher education. So these are the basic definition which is given in this regulation of 2018, which is necessary to know. And again, the most important definition which is defined in UGC regulation is the script. What does a script include? So script include your research paper. You can see I've underlined this. Thesis, dissertation, chapters in book, and of course your publication also, which I've again underlined. Publication, either it is in a print form or in electronic form. And here student also include even the full-time or part-time or distance mode. Even if you are doing a PG diploma course, through a distance mode from any university, and there is a provision for a dissertation in a last semester, this regulation will be applicable even to that dissertation also. So it doesn't matter whether you are a full-time student, part-time student, or doing any course through a distance mode. So I hope you're understanding it has a very the wider application, this UGC regulation 2018. And now when we discuss about what is the plagiarism, I'm sure you all must be have some idea about the plagiarism in your mind. It's a definition. So but when we look for the UGC regulation 2018, it defines the plagiarism means the practice of taking someone else's work or idea. When you take someone else's work, when you take someone else's idea and you quote them your own, of course it will fall under the plagiarism. And here is a okay. So this is a picture I got for you where you try to present another work, your own idea, and that will definitely fall under the plagiarism. You try to steal the idea of others, and let me tell you, there are other laws will be applicable which I am not dealing in this presentation. Copyright issue can also be there. It can be amount to the copyright violation. It can amount to the the patent laws violation. So other laws are also there. Okay, now the question comes, can there will be a self-plagiarism? It is my work, it's my idea, and I wanted to, publish another article where I needed to quote this particular idea. If I'm not quoting in a footnote that it is my idea actually, will it amount to the plagiarism? You all must be having some of your answer in your mind. Some might be thinking yes, it could be the plagiarism. Some might be thinking why the self plagiarism will fall under this plagiarism category. It is ultimately my work. It depends on me whether how I use it, how I reproduce it. But friend, let me tell you, self plagiarism will also fall under the plagiarism category. And uh, there's a notification. If I can show you, let me show you. Okay, so here is a notification of which is issued on 20th April 2020 by UGC, where UGC has specifically discussed about this self plagiarism. You can see here, reproduction in the part of whole one's own previously published work without adequate citation and proper acknowledgement. So even though if I have written some article and uh, which has been published, and again I wanted to use the same article, I mean to say I wanted to use some of the portion of this article in my some another article, it is a mandatory that I should quote that this is an article written by me already and it is published in that particular journal, and again I'm using this article in some other publication. So I hope it is clear that self-plagiarism can also fall under the plagiarism. Okay, I just wanted to confirm once you all are able to see my PPT. Muskan, can you confirm once? Anyone?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
fine. So there can be various form of plagiarism. You can see I have mentioned here paraphrasing. Many times students say, मैम अपने word में लिख देंगे तो नहीं दिक्कत है ना, तो नहीं plagiarism होगा. नहीं, it will be a plagiarism if you are not giving a due credit from where you have taken. So you have to still, even though you have written in your own word, you have to mention the source of that information. मैंने किसी का idea सुना और like I have read something and I got an idea कि इसमें ये ऐसे भी हो सकता है. I wrote in my own word and I'm not quoting it. That will amount to the plagiarism. Copy and paste, it's very simple. Sometimes student they simply copy and paste. So don't do this. If you are some copying or something pasting, make sure if it is very necessary that you have to copy it, make sure you give a proper citation, make sure you give a due credit, because this is something you call the academic integrity. Citing incorrectly could also be a form of plagiarism, like you are giving a such URL which is not accessible. But of course, if your intention is good, if you have given a correct URL, later on because of some problem it is not working, that is justifiable. For example, I will give you one example. In one of my article, I mentioned a one URL, and while it went for a blind review, the reviewer has found this URL is not working, and the clarification is sought from me that the URL which you have cited is not working. And later on, I found the government order which I cited in my article has been removed from that particular website. So luckily, I have saved that government order, and I could able to prove, look, there was not an intention to citing incorrectly. So why I'm giving you example, because there could be some situation in a good faith you cited, and later on, that website is not working. So of course, that's not your fault as long you can prove it. Interweaving various sources together. So don't take from here and there and you think, okay, my task is done. It will be again amount to the plagiarism if you are not giving a due credit to that. Okay, so now coming the most important part, that what are the penalties for the the plagiarism which has been defined in this UGC 2018 regulation. So you can see there are level has been defined, level 1, level 2 and level 3. So if there is a similarity up to 10%, of course there is a no penalties. Or this penalty, I'm talking about the submission of the thesis and dissertation. So in your thesis and dissertation, if the similarity is above 10% but up to the 40%, then this is the penalty is prescribed. And what is this penalty? Such students shall be asked to submit a revised script, and there will be time is given, and that is for the 6 month. But if it's go beyond or above 40%, but up to 60%, then in that situation the penalty would be like this: such students shall be debarred from submitting a revised script for a period of 1 year. But if goes beyond 60% similarity, then of course in that situation the registration will be cancelled. So these all are the penalties I'm talking about with regard to the submission of thesis and dissertation. So let me move further. Yeah. So this is the penalty I'm going to talk about. Okay, just a minute. The submission of the article. So if it is up to 10%, it is fine. Again, 10 to 14%, you will be asked to withdraw your manuscript. If it is above 40%, again, up to 60%, then these are the penalties. Of course, you will be going to be asked to withdraw your manuscript. You will be denied one annual increment. You are not going to be allowed to supervisor for a period of 2 years. And of course, if it is crosses the limit, that is above 60%, then there is a more rigorous penalty, and you will be denied 2 successive annual increment, and you will not be allowed to the supervisor for a few periods of time. So this is yeah. So now the question comes, how to avoid the plagiarism? And of course the first thing is that give the due credit to the sources from where you are taking a material, but that doesn't mean in entire article you copy from somewhere and you have given the source and you think that you have done your own work. No, then in that situation it is not your own work, because you have copied majority of the content here and there. Of course you have given a due credit, but it will not be considered a research than what you have done in that particular research. And of course, if there is any quote you wanted, and especially in law, many times we have to quote the wording of the judgment. Make sure you put it in the inverted comma, or if you want, you can italize also and put it in inverted comma. Generally, it all depends upon the person who's checking the plagiarism. Few things which is comes under the inverted comma are excluded. I will be telling you later on. And of course give the due credit from where you are taking, give the proper citation, don't give the incomplete citation. Give a citation in a such a way that anyone who wanted to assess the content, they can easily assess the content. And if you have the access of the plagiarism software, make sure you check it to find out whether, because sometimes it can be a possible that intentionally you have not done this, but by mistake you forget to somewhere to uh, quote. So in that situation, the plagiarism software can help you to detect all this thing, and you can see your mistakes. And so these all are the certain things to avoid the plagiarism, and these all are the certain anti-plagiarism software. Mostly I'm aware about the Turnitin working, because in my previous institution I had an access of Turnitin. So basically it shows the similarity index, in the sense from where you have copied, and it will be showing in different color, and you can see that whether the sources has been acknowledged or not. Likewise, there are certain other anti-plagiarism software which university usually have the access of that. Especially you can visit your library, and show the Ganga also support this. Government also support to the university in buying this anti-plagiarism software. So it's recommended, if you have the access of this anti-software plagiarism, you can check your article. You can see if by mistake, if somewhere if you have forgot to quote or forget to mention the sources, because sometimes it happens, human, because we all are human, sometimes mistake does happen, but it always good to correct those mistakes. So I hope I could able to make some sense with my discussion on this, writing a legal research writing and avoiding a plagiarism. And I will be happy to answer any query if you have. Thank you. Let me stop sharing screen. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, I have few queries.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, we have a question from the person named Aditya. He's asking what is the importance of single and double inverted commas if we intend to copy a content from any material in our research work, and also providing the details of such in footnotes.
Okay. So Aditya, thank you so much for this question. Let me tell you again. I'm telling you, I'm mostly aware about the the Turnitin working, because I have used it in my previous institution. So if you talk about the double inverted comma, usually as a teacher, when we check the project of the student, we exclude the double inverted comma, the content. But of course, there is a limit. It doesn't mean entire project you put in double inverted comma and will exclude. So we will see, like whether it is a reasonably you have mentioned, or you have quoted some judgment. So this is the answer for that. And what was the second question, Muskan?
Ma'am, just a second here, ma'am. And ma'am, he is asking if we intend to copy a content from any material in our research work, and also providing the details of same in the footnotes.
Okay, footnotes. Yeah.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
see, if I'm checking on a Turnitin, definitely, because in footnote you might have copied, or the sources from where you have taken, or sometimes there is a the detailed footnoting also. So in Turnitin it will also show. Again, it is on the discretion of the teacher. So we exclude the bibliography, the references, or if there is a the similarity of say the 10 words, so we exclude all these things, and that settings is there. And of course that is very much depends upon how much the person who is checking in the Turnitin applying his or her mind, because ultimately these are all machines. So we have to apply our mind also, whether whatever the portion it is showing the similarity index, whether it is justifiable or not, or of course percentage we also see. So I hope I have answered you, Aditya. So any query I would love to answer.
Yeah, ma'am, there are few queries. Just a second, ma'am. Yeah, sorry, ma'am. Ma'am, we have another. Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah, you're audible.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, we have another question from the person named Karun. He's asking if the thesis is found to be plagiarized here after PhD is conferred, what will be the consequences?
See, Karun, I told you the three examples that what happened, the the previous vice chancellor, and you have seen in one of my PPT I gave you the example. So the Pondicherry vice chancellor, she has been issued a letter from a president, because a president is usually the visiting a chancellor of any central university, and she has been removed from the post. So that is, all this action can be taken, no matter whether you have conferred a PhD or not. In case if it is found that you have not given or acknowledged the sources, there are consequences, and I have already told you in one of my PPT. So I hope I answered you, Karan.
Ma'am, there is another question. Ma'am, there are actually quite a few questions. One by one, I'll address. Ma'am, there is another question from the person named Neetha. She's asking, ideally, how many citation can be made in a chapter in a PhD? Yeah, in the PhD.
Neetha, let me tell you, see, there is no any one set answer which I can tell you, for regarding answering your question, that ideally how many citation for in a PhD. It's all depends, how long it is your PhD, what your institution regulation does talk about, whether your institution regulation has made any restriction, of course, within a UGC limits also. So it depends upon, the PhD to PhD. It's very difficult to answer, where I can say, okay, 100 citation or 200. So yeah, it depends what kind of research work you are carrying. Yeah.
Ma'am, there's another question from the person named John. He's asking, Ma'am, I am doing LLM. The university has given access to what? Just a second, ma'am.
Maybe anti-plagiarism software.
No, ma'am. He's talking something about, yeah, software. When we check our paper, the software even detects common word as plagiarism. For example, words like central government, etc., is shown as plagiarism. So, if there any solution to prevent such issues?
Yes, very much, John. Because even let me tell you, even my name is a plagiarized. It shows even Anita highlighted, because of course Anita is very common name and available on the internet. So in that situation, let me tell you, there are few things which are excluded. And again, I'm telling you here, ultimately it is a machine, and the person who is checking, they have to apply their mind. So if there is a matching of the 10 words, it is usually excluded. So that thing should be excluded, because I do understand your problem, that the state government word, central government, this all it will show the similarity, because it is available on the internet. So that should be excluded. Yes, John. Yeah. Next.
Ma'am, we have another question from the person named Jishan. Ma'am, he's asking, ma'am, whether writing articles and section of acts with proper reference will be included under 10% limit of plagiarism? Question mark.
Let me tell you, Jishan, if
Yeah, ma'am,
your
Jishan.
yeah, if your research is something which is based on only particular section on particular article, then of course it becomes very important to quote that particular article and section. In that situation, what you do, you put it in double inverted comma. And of course it doesn't mean that in all entire article you quote so many section. That is also not permitted, because anyways whatever you are going to quote in section, that will any anti-plagiarism software will detect under the similarity index. So make sure you put it in a double inverted comma, in case it is very necessary to quote that particular article or particular section. Yeah.
Ma'am, we have a question from Aditya. Again, he's asking, ma'am, as per new PhD guidelines, we have to present 2 research papers in international conference. My question is whether international conference should be related to our PhD topic or it can be international conference? Question mark.
Aditya, like it's very, obvious, if your PhD regulation is saying, I mean to say your new regulation, that there should be 2 research paper presentation. So it should be, of course, something relating to your PhD, because, this is the reason. So you should, like that is my understanding. So according to my understanding, it should be somewhere relating to your PhD, but that doesn't mean you go and tell everything about your PhD. Otherwise it can amount to the publication of your PhD before getting conferred the PhD. So you can, discuss with your guide, discuss with your supervisor. Maybe, they will be in a better position to guide you. But as per my understanding, it has some connection with your, the research which you are doing. Yeah.
Ma'am, we have another question. Taking notes by our own words for exam preparation, whether we can publish that as article.
So again, the question comes from, where are you taking a notes? Are you taking a notes from the teacher lectures? If you are taking a notes from a teacher lecture and publishing it, again it is a plagiarism, because you are getting an idea from somewhere, making a notes and publishing it. If it is your own notes, it is your idea, or you must have read somewhere and that's why you are making a notes. So make sure you acknowledge the thing and then you can publish it. But if you are taking, from some, some teacher is speaking, and then you are taking notes and publishing it, then it can amount to the plagiarism. You have to, take a permission from your teacher. Yeah. Next question, please, Muskan.
Yes, ma'am, just a second. Ma'am, we have question from the person named Sharad. He's asking, generally UGC care list journal does not accept the research scholars article.
No, it's nothing like this. They do accept, but of course, now the competition or more, because now since UGC has made it mandatory that one have to publish in this UGC care list if they wanted to get a credit, say in a promotion or in a PhD. So now the competition or a more, than of course you have to write more good research paper which can be appealing also. So it's nothing like that. They don't accept the research scholar. There are few journal which say if the student is submitting, they can submit the case, comment, and all these things. There are few journal which has a policy, but I don't think so. All journal have such kind of policy for the research or scholar, especially research scholar. They encourage for a submission. If it is a LLB student, they are a certain kinds of restriction which is their own policy. But I did not come across many journal in UGC scare which create any kind of like prohibition that a scholar can not submit. Yeah, next question.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, this is the last question we are taking. Ma'am, this is the question by the person named Ashok Kumar. He's asking, my question related to plagiarism. Some risk Urkund software shows reference like Constitution of India 1950 Article 14 is plagiarized. How is it possible that we can refer Constitution of India 1950 is new ways in new way is new ways? Yes, written. Yeah, yes, ma'am. This is the question.
Okay, thank you, Ashok, for this question. And I have already addressed while answering one of the query where student have asked, even the state word is showing plagiarism. And I told you, even my name, it shows, plagiarized. So whatever is available on internet, it will, of course, any anti-plagiarism software will show it is, falling under the similarity index. So as I told you, in that situation, if 10 matching words are there, that can be exempted. And of course, if it is a less than one person in one paragraph, that can also be excused. So again, I'm repeating my answer. It's all depends that who is reading that report and whether they are applying their mind or not. And if you are able to convince, because of course you cannot change the name of the Indian Constitution, so that is excluded actually. So bibliography is excluded, references are excluded in university. Usually when they check dissertation or say PhD thesis, they exclude all this thing like bibliography ho gayi, aapki reference ho gayi. So 10 matching words in one paragraph usually excluded. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Now we are done with the questions. Now I would like to move for the thank note. Ma'am, shall I?
Yeah, please go ahead. And thank you so much for wonderful audience. So many good question. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, your words were really inspiring. I'm sure the participants were able to seek a little guidance and imbibe something from your thoughts. We are really thankful to you, ma'am, for taking the time out from your busy schedule to attend today's event. Thanks to all the participants for attending today's webinar, and also stay connected with us for all the further webinars to be conducted.
Thank you so much, everyone. If you have any further query, you can take my email from Navtika ma'am. I will try my best to clarify your query, because I can understand maybe there were few who could not able to, ask the question in this session. They can connect with me and we can, have a discussion further. And I also would like to thank to Muskan. It seems like you're not feeling well, but still you manage this program very well. Thank you
Yes,
so much.
ma'am. I'm having
Yeah, I can
fever.
see. Yeah, I can see. I can see. And thank you so much, Navtika ma'am. And it is very novel idea. She established this virtual school where she wanted to train student in lot of skills. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you so much, and take care, Muskan. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Participants, the feedback link is already in the chat box. Kindly fill that in.
Participants, please ensure to fill the feedback form or you won't be getting the certificate. It's very mandatory to fill the feedback form.
Muskan, you're not audible.
Participants, please fill the feedback form.
Participants, kindly fill the feedback form. After 2 minutes, we'll end the meeting.
And it's mandatory to fill the feedback form as you won't get the certificate if you haven't filled the feedback form. And you will get the certificate in next 7 days. So please do not bother the coordinators for the same.